This morning at 7 a.m., I was in the hospital. There was a nurse sliding an IV needle into the dorsal metacarpal vein on my right hand. Burp. And I was meditating on abhinivesha. What does it mean? Fear of dying, clinging to life. And I was imagining the anesthesia, there's a small possibility of dying every time you go under like that. And I was thinking, what if I find myself floating above the room looking down at my body and that voice says, do you want to go back or you want to go the other way into the light? I didn't have that. This is my imagination before the operation. And so when I woke up and the anesthesiologist was standing next to me on the computer and talking to me, and I just felt this beautiful feeling of being alive and gratitude that I was alive. And I felt high as a kite. Hello and welcome to the Don't Forget Yoga podcast, helping new yoga teachers absorb yogic wisdom with music, mantra, and mnemonics. Music, mantra, and mnemonics. Don't forget. I created this podcast with the idea of sharing some of the songs that I've been making about anatomy and philosophy to help me remember yogic concepts. And that was the inspiration for the podcast. So far, I haven't featured very many of them. But for now, I have this little song that I'm going to share. So it's Patanjali's Klesha song because it's Patanjali's list of the 5 Kleshas. I'm calling it Patanjali's Klesha song. There are other lists of Kleshas in Hinduism and in Buddhism, but for this podcast, we're going to talk about Patanjali because I just did an episode with Austin Sanderson, episode 7, where we talk about Patanjali. And I took a couple clips from that interview and put them into the music. So this is what I like to do. Klesha is a Sanskrit word for poison. The Kleshas are mental states that cloud the mind and manifest in unwholesome actions. Patanjali's method uses the sutras as building blocks to develop wisdom. And when he makes lists of concepts, the first item in the list is the most important and probably influences all the rest. In the Yoga Sutras themselves, each sutra builds on the last sutra so that you're gaining wisdom as you stack them on top of each other. And so it is with the Kleshas that avidya is first. And avidya means ignorance. And it's deep and pervading ignorance. It's not just, I misread that word. Although that's avidya too. So it's everywhere. Everything our 5 senses come into contact with is misperceived. And so we navigate through the world in this second klesha, the asmita, which is our ego. We build this ego to navigate through the world of avidya that we misperceive. And we have raga and dvesha, the attachment and aversion, that help us build this ego. Personally, I hide behind my silliness. I've been teaching yoga for 10 years or more, and I study all the time. I take trainings. I try to be the wisest teacher I can be, but there's a part of me that knows this imposter syndrome and like, yoga is this vast, vast thing, and I'm just trying to understand a little bit of it and transmit it to people who may or may not know more than me already, right? So I make each episode as well as I can. But for now, I just want to offer you this song. I want to put it out there, and if it helps you remember the Kleshas while you're teaching your yoga class, that would be lovely. If it inspires you to leave me a 5-star review, subscribe, or maybe even leave a voicemail at don'tforgetyoga.com. So this song is Patanjali and the Kleshas. Remember, Patanjali's definition of yoga is yogaschitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the stilling of the whirlings of the mind, and the Kleshas are the obstacles. Enjoy.
And it's as simple as you have these fluctuations, please stop them. Step one. You have these fluctuations. Could you stop it, please? And then we'll move on.
Om Patanjali.
And he believes that you're born naturally with these things called Kleshas.
Om Patanjali.
Until you can understand that these blocks or these Kleshas that are keeping you from yoga, that they are the fluctuations of the mind. That they are the fluctuations of the mind. That they are the fluctuations of the mind. Pranayama and meditation and concentration helps you send them back to the source of the Klesha.
These are the Kleshas. Avijja, asmrita, raga, devesha, abhinivesha. Avijja, asmrita, raga, devesha, abhinivesha. Avijja, asmrita, raga, devesha, abhinivesha. Avidya, which is ignorance. Ashmita, ego. Raga, attachment. Devesha, aversion. Abhinivesha, clinging to life.
First, you got to understand that you're ignorant of who you really are, and you're full of your own ego, and you're attached to your own pleasure, and you're full of hatred, and you're fearful of death.
All right, listeners, thanks for listening. That song was made in Rhode Island. I was taking care of a friend of mine who just underwent a surgery, staying in a hotel room in Providence, and I came up with this Klesha song. At the beginning, in the intro, I talked about an operation I was having, which is called a hemorrhoidectomy. And what I had was a growth down in my mula. So it's been very interesting recovering. Now I'm 2 days past that intro when I was high on anesthesia and feeling pretty good. Today, things have started moving, and that movement, as it passes through the bottom part of my body, does not feel good at all. It's very painful. So I'm having some devesha, some aversions to that experience. When I planned to help my friend after her surgery, I had no idea that I would be getting my own. And I have already planned to go back and help her some more, which entails driving to South Carolina from Massachusetts. So I'm going to be sitting in a car, and so I'm teaching the Kleshas and experiencing them heavily right now. Once again, I want to thank Austin Sanderson, who was featured in episode 3 on the Vedas. Don't forget the Vedas. And the last episode, which is about Patanjali. And then he's featured in this little song. He's at urbansadhu.com, which is SADHU is sadhu. They have teacher trainings. They have in-person and online courses. They're in Jersey City, New Jersey. So if you're in New York City, it's just a quick little jump over the water. If you're in Jersey City, of course, you don't even have to jump over water. And that's it for Austin. I hear Austin, Texas is good too. I want to thank you so much for listening. If this is your first time or if you've been listening all along, it means a lot to me. I love some reviews and ratings and all those things. I think the best thing you can do is tell some other friends and teachers that this exists and that it's good. And spread it around for me. And I will keep bringing the love back to you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.